Miss Kimberly, to all my normal viewers and to all my new viewers. Thank you for the inspiration. I feel inspired. It's the end of the week. I finished my work week and I want to go live again. Today, at this moment, what's on my spirit is to share with you, don't try to save the world. Save yourself. Now, I don't say that in a selfish way. I say that in a self-care way. For years, once I stopped partying and everything, and I started to get to a place in my life where I was trying to figure out things, trying to figure out how to be an adult in this world. I started to do a lot of reading. Dana, North Carolina. Dana, how are you? How was your week, Dana? Do you feel encouraged? One of my regular viewers, Dana. Dana inspires me. Thank you, Dana. So on my journey, when I had stopped my real immature ways, and I was starting to try to figure out this world and how to be an adult in it and how to succeed, I started doing a lot of reading, a lot of research. In addition, I was always compassionate. So I started to take on all the burdens of the world. Because the reading and the research, the search for knowledge, the search for truth, it's a never-ending process. And when you dive so deep into trying to figure out things, you almost become consumed. And as you read different things and you hear different stories, you hear the hardships of life. And then if you're a sensitive person, which I am, I've learned over time how to control my emotions. But if you're sensitive, if you're compassionate, you feel the pain of others. You try to help others. You try to help the world. Every wrong that you see, you try to get involved to try to make right. You volunteer a lot. You're the first one in, the last one out type person. Dana said, yes, I did, Sam. Very busy week. Well, that's good. Being productive can be good. Got a lot done on the house. Good. Praise the Lord. I hope you had a great week. Yes, Dana, I did. I finished my week. It was a little bit of an adjustment coming back from work after being on vacation for a week or so, but I feel thankful, I feel productive, and I feel accomplished. And it sounds like you, the same thing. You're making progress on your goals, and that's what I want everyone to do, including myself. I want to keep going forward, and I want us to make progress on our goals. I appreciate you, Dana. Positivity to you. And so, when I was starting to read, and I was starting to volunteer at church things, and when I get involved in political conversations, get involved with my mom, with my sisters, with my friends, I would try to save everyone at the neglect of myself. I would try to save everyone until I get to the point where I'll burn myself out. And that's unhealthy. And until you are good, nothing else around you can be good. And you come to a point where you realize that I don't care how much you love your parents. I don't care how much you love your children. I don't care how much you love your spouse. I don't care how much you love your friends. I don't care how much you love a political organization. I don't care how much you love a religious organization. You can't save anyone. All you can do is save yourself and hope to inspire other people. If you think about it, one of my heroes, I believe in the context of the Bible. I believe in Jesus Christ. Jesus, technically, if you really think about it, he didn't save anyone. What he did was he sacrificed the level of his life, and he inspired others. He inspired others to treat people with compassion. When he found the woman caught in adultery, he stood in front of her accusers. And he didn't really get overly involved. What he did was he made them question their own conscience on their own sins. Now, certainly, there is a level of sacrifice. So I don't want to sit here and say it's all about just you and saving yourself. Because I'm giving now examples of different people who inspired me. But I want to be clear. There's a time where you have to pull back. Where you have to now At the end of the week, you gave a lot to your job. At the end of the week, you sacrificed a lot for your family. You got a lot done with your house. You have to learn how to save yourself, how to care for yourself. Nothing makes people more miserable than you trying to make them happy. I saw my mom try to make my sisters and even me happy sometimes, to the point where it would cause more anxiety for others. When you try to make someone happy, it doesn't make them happy. It gives them anxiety. And they said, just leave me alone. I'll figure it out. What really makes people happy is when you walk in a room and you're already happy. You know, the natural flow of life, the natural flow of inspiration. That's how you really help others, by helping yourself, by being in a good place yourself. Some of the saddest people do too much volunteering. Some of the people with the most anxiety give too much money to others and volunteer too much of their time to others because they haven't disciplined and structured themselves enough to understand that compassion is a beautiful gift, but also self-respect is a beautiful gift. Because when you have self-respect, you teach others self-respect. If you just give, and you don't at all allocate any time for yourself, then what it does is it shows a bad example. Because people can tell that you're not happy. Certainly, I know a lot of compassionate people. They're always trying to smile. They're always giving of themselves. On the surface, I mean, they're doing everything right on paper. But inside, there's a hurt. There's a lack of healing. And that lack of healing comes from a lack of saving themselves. And what I mean by that, again, it's self-care. Taking time for yourself. Very simple, very simple. Taking time for yourself. Doing things you enjoy. Not being so serious. You know, too, when I was starting to, get my life in order, I got into a season of my life where I did a lot of walking around my community. And a girl saw me one time, an older woman, and saw her, and we just started a conversation like this, and we started talking. And she said, "Sam, you're really serious." And it stuck out in my mind, because I noticed that all of my conversation, it was focused on like, oh, I got to do this, and not just with this, but I was putting out like every injustice in the world, and I was trying to say, this is what we should do to make this better. This is what we should do to make that better. I had no laughter. I had no lightness on my spirit. Everything was so serious. It's not good to be too serious. Not good to be too serious. You have to learn to laugh a little bit and to enjoy life, enjoying the journey. I mean, certainly now, if you've been watching this channel, you see in context that I certainly have times where we have to get this done. Now's the time. Action, action, action. And that's true. And then there's a time to unwind. There's a season for everything. There's a time for everything. Part of a well-balanced mind, body, and soul is lightness, is laughter, is silly things that have, unstructured, this is going to get this done. Just going to watch a little bit of a comedy thing. It's not going to get anything done, but it's going to be light on my spirit. That's part of saving yourself. Because too much seriousness, what do they say? Like, all work, no play makes something like a dull person or something like that. I mean, that's that mindset, and that's wisdom. Dana said, I am taking little steps and checking off the list. Good. See, now she's talking about accomplishment. You help keep me inspired. Thank you. You help keep me inspired, Dana. You're always compassionate. You reach out to me when I'm on vacation. You always add a level of sensitivity to the conversation, and your voice is needed. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Dana. Now we're scrolling down a little bit. Dana says, I learned that if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of others. Yes, period. She puts period. That's why, throughout my videos, sometimes I focus on physical health. Sometimes I focus on getting stuff done. Sometimes I focus on minimalistic life. And then sometimes I focus on self-care. As far as taking time for yourself, unwinding, etc. That well-balanced approach. And then I just loop around. I'm not trying to every day figure out some magical formula that I can give people and that I can wow, he surprised me with that one. I don't do that. What I try to do is what's genuinely good for me. What have I learned through experience? And what do I need to keep doing to keep me in a good place? And that's it. That's the complete circle. I have a part of my mindset that says, cut the bullshit. Let's get stuff done. Let's make a list. Let's break a big problem down into small steps and let's take action. I have a part of me that says, all right, now that's a part about being productive. I have a part of me said that now we have to take care of our health. We have to eat the right things because what we eat affects our mental health, etc., etc. Then I have a part of me that says, all right, I have to take care of my emotional health and my relationships. I have to cut certain people off, etc., etc. Then I have a part of me that says, don't take on all the sadness of the world. You have an elderly parent. You can't take on every hurt and pain that they have. You have children that are struggling in life. You can't make... And I'm not saying that in a selfish way. I'm saying that in a way where it keeps us in a healthy space. You stay in a healthy space when you remember, don't try to save the world. I always tell myself, Sam, don't try to save the world. Try to save yourself. Meaning, all right, what do you need to do to be inspired? Do you need to walk? Do you need to spend time laughing? Do you need to listen to music? Do you need to get some, what do you need to do to get you in a good place? Then once you're in a good place, then you engage society, then you engage your parents, then you engage your children, then you engage your friends, and not with the mindset of, now I have all the answers I can give you. Now I engage others with the mindset of, I'm whole. And if you want some of my overflow, then it will cover you. If not, then I am here to just sit with you. One thing I also learned through my life is that when you save yourself first and when you take care of yourself first, and you're really at a peaceful place, Football Boots Review, be your own hero. Yes, the UK's in the building, and I love Football Boots Review. Just like I love Dana, and I'm going to get back to some comments. Thank you. Thank you guys for inspiring me. I appreciate this. When you, to Football Boots Review, when you are your own hero in a sense of speaking, again, in context, not in a selfish way, but in a self-care way. When you don't have the mindset of, I want to fix everyone else's life. When you have the mindset of, I've fixed my life as much as I can for today. Now I am just going to enjoy myself. Then when you go and you sit with others, you don't have a mindset of, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you? You just sit. Because many times, once you have taken care of yourself, really what you can do for other people is just sit and be content. Because that lessens the anxiety in the room. Anxiety gets built up when you sit next to somebody and you're like picking at them to try to say, well, oh, you're hurting here. Well, what can I do here? Did you have a bad week? Well, what can I say to make you more happy? You can't. And I failed like that many times because I gravitate towards inspiration. I gravitate towards wanting to inspire others. I gravitate towards wanting to be compassionate in my own way. I mean, I'm a little bit firm too. But then what I've learned is the more I try to force the issue of I'm trying to make this person inspired, I'm trying to make this person happy, the worse it gets. The more uninspired they get, the more contention it causes, the more anxiety it causes. So what I say is, even when I go live, what I say is I'm speaking to myself. I am going to exude exactly what I need at this moment. This is what I want to focus on. And this is my inner being healing, and this right now is what I need. And as you focus on that, you become more whole, you become more healed, and then your overflow exudes. And that's the mindset of not trying to save the world, but saving yourself. And that's the mindset that brings healing. I want to go back a little bit. I know I missed a few comments. Sam, what do you do for fun? What do you do on the weekends? Well, my weekend has just begun. So tonight, it's pretty much shot. Tomorrow I will wake up. I will go down. I usually try to always go to a beach area, even if I'm in New Jersey in the cold winter. I always try to start my day with a walk and music. For me, when I'm off, that's a top priority. I go for a walk and I listen to my music. That spurs my inspiration. Then after that, if I have a certain task I want to do to be productive, then I'll do that. If not, then I may visit a friend, family, or a loved one. And then if not, then also what I'll do next is explore. When I explore, when I go look at different things, and certainly every day you can't see something new, but I definitely try to make sure that when I have off time, I see different things. That's part of a healthy mind. I try not to. One thing that really hurt me at the end of my journey living in a house is I saw the same things every day. And even on my off days, because I was so bound to that location because of my house and my mortgage, I felt obligated. I would always see the same things. And that began to hurt me. So part of my day when I am off work and I don't have too many obligations is after I walk, after I spend time with certain people, then I make sure I explore. I go try to see different things, whether it's visiting a zoo, whether it's visiting a forest, whether it's visiting a new beach area, etc. And this also now has been part of my engagement. So that's kind of too why I started the YouTube channel. Because once I downsized my life, once I sold my house, and once I got a feel, and once I got a foundation on living mobile and living in a car, I did free up time. And like I've stated in many videos, that was part of my reason why I wanted to downsize my life, because having a house and having that level of obligation, even when you're off of work, it takes a huge amount of your time. So on your off days, you're not really off. You're cleaning, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're fixing things that need to be fixed. I mean, you can spend every off day for the rest of your life just working on your house. And anyone who's owned a house can testify to that. So then when I freed up all that time, part of the reason I wanted to free up that time, because I like being creative. I like making videos. And that's why, like I say, I do this for my main passion. I haven't got one check off this. And even when it shows like how much you accumulate over time, it's below minimum wage. So for me, this is part of an outlet of self-expression. This is part of my joy, part of my passion, part of being creative. And that's why, like, when I have free time, I make a video or I go live, because this adds a level of fulfillment to me. And that's why I encourage others to do. And but certainly, it's all relative to how much free time you have. Again, if I had a house, there's no way I would have a YouTube channel. Because after I'm done with work, then I have a certain obligation to my house to keep that up to speed. And then I have to prioritize myself. I have to save myself first, meaning I have to go on my daily walks. I have to listen to my music. That keeps my mind and my body and my health centered. And then I build from there. So this is one of now, because I have extra free time, this is one of my creative spaces that I enjoy. And that I'm meeting new people and that I'm connecting. And that's part of the saving myself renewed new season of my life. And that's been a great experience. And that's why for me, I wanted to change my life. I wanted to do something new because I needed to save myself. I was killing myself having a house. Not mainly financially, it was mainly a mental burden. It was mainly a time burden. I needed to free up things because this is part of a passion for me. This is part of a joy for me. So that's kind of a little bit of feedback on that. Dana, I forget to tell you, got my SUV back on Friday. Brand new clutch. Feels like new SUV. It is a 1996 Toyota RAV. So that's good, Dana. If you're still in the room, I'm glad, one, you got your car fixed, because I know how painful that is to go through that process of having a broke down car and fixing it. So even if you're not still in the room, one is congratulations on fixing your car, and congratulations on having a productive week. It sounds like you're moving forward, and I like to hear that. That's very inspiring. You are a happy camper. Yes, good. Football Boots Review. What's your favorite type of music, Sam? And I see you, Taffy. I'm going to get to you well, GNV Productions. Dana, thank you for still being here. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you got your car fixed. I feel better for you because I know that's a huge mental relief. And it sounds like you had a good week. I could feel your positive flow. Very happy for you. Football Boots Review. What's your favorite type of music, Sam? My favorite type of music is R&B and hip-hop. That's my favorite type of music. Taffy, also known as GNV Productions, or used to be. Respect and love to you, Taffy. Thank you for checking in. Awesome. Glad I can finally be part of a live video. I'm glad to have you, Taffy. I listened to your Black Friday consumerism video recently. Really liked it. Thumbs up 100. Thank you, Taffy. And thank you to It's Miss Kimberly who recommended that live stream topic. So thank you, It's Miss Kimberly. And thank you, Taffy, for checking in. And thank you. You left a few positive comments. I appreciate that. I do. It means a lot to me. It inspires me. And like I said, this is part of what really, it blesses me. And so I appreciate that. Linda, how are you? Linda from Florida. I hope, Linda, I'm praying, I'm believing that you had a positive week. You're pushing forward. And even if you didn't, start now. We're going forward. So it's good to see you, Linda. Thank you for checking in. And just the main thing, when I got off work, today, that's what I was thinking. What do I want to make a subject around tonight? What was that? Baby steps. Yes, baby steps, small steps is the key to making your big dreams come true. And break every big problem down into small steps. That relieves anxiety and that gives you focus. And then you take action one step at a time. That's how you do it. For everything you want out of life, that's what you apply. Amen. And if anyone has a suggestion on a live video topic, or if you want to talk about something now, please feel free to leave a comment. It's all love, and I appreciate that. And this is part of a relationship, and this is part of, for me, connecting, which I also enjoy. But that's what I was reflecting on today, and that's what I was so thankful for as I got off of work. I felt so blessed that I am at that place mentally. Once in a while, when I get sad, and I start to take on sadness of the world or sadness of those around me, I remind myself, Sam, don't try to save the world. Save yourself. When I exercise that self-care mindset, I refocus my spirit. And then that sadness goes away. And then inspiration comes. And that's why it's key. Because that sadness will never allow you to help anyone. All it will do is, it just will hurt you. And then you really can't help anyone. And so that's why you have to have that mindset. Tony Williams, you should become a pastor. You have a voice, laugh out loud. Thank you, Tony. Love and respect to you, Tony. I appreciate it. I used to be, when I started off on my spiritual journey, like I was starting this video off, there was a part of my life where I was real serious. Once I stopped partying and once I stopped doing immature stuff, like in my mid-20s, I started really getting involved in church and in nonprofit organizations and reading and research. I was so serious. I was trying to figure out this world, trying to make a positive difference, almost a little bit too serious. But we go through seasons of life. And I was a youth leader, what they called. I did, youth services. I got involved with a youth church, and I thank God for the church. Christ Church was the name of it. Eventually, I had a falling out or just a leaving of that church, but they blessed me. I want to thank them. And, I learned a lot about the Bible, about people, about human nature, about spirituality, and about always thinking for yourself is always the key. And always reading and researching for yourself. But part of my passion was I wanted to be a voice because I did feel like in the church, not necessarily the church I was at specifically, but just in general, I felt churches and pastors were manipulative. And even when they would say a lot of great stuff, right after they say a lot of great stuff, here comes the collection plea. And it always makes you look at them sideways. And so when I had a nonprofit for a while, that's what I did. I mean, I would never ask or I would never accept donations. Trying to change. I said, I'm going to save the church. I'm going to save the way people view pastors. And almost I was too serious and too much trying to save the church, whatever that means, instead of trying to stay focused on myself. And that was a lesson I had to learn. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. When you are your best self, then you make the positive difference you need. Work on saving yourself. And that's what had happened with the church I was in, was the leaders in the church, again, respect to them because they blessed my life and they gave me opportunities to grow myself. But I have to share my observance of life. A lot of leaders, not only in the church I was at, but also in the Catholic Church, what I realized was that a lot of the leaders were so focused on saving everyone else that they neglected their own household. And there was adultery going on in their own house. There was gossip going on in their old house. There was manipulation of money. And so here are these people that have a great gift and that do a good thing for society. But because their mindset has shifted so out of balance to saving others and to saving the world that they forgot to save themselves. And then when that eventually comes to light, because everything comes to light in this world, everything eventually comes to light. When it came to light, like they were neglecting their own household, then it caused everyone to go astray. Then instead of saving people, they actually turn people off. Like, look at these hypocrites. They preach to us the sanctity of marriage. They preach to us, tithing is important. And here they are caught in an adultery affair, taking our funds and buying new cars. That's why it's important that you don't have the mindset of, I want to save everyone else. Because what will happen if you have that mindset? You'll end up looking like a hypocrite and everyone will hate you. Just have the mindset of, I want to take care of myself. Not in a selfish way, but in a self-care way, in a self-respecting way that I lead by example. And that when people find me, they may not always like me, because you're never going to have everyone always like me. But overall, they say, you know what? I like how that person moves. And that inspires me to be a better me. And that's how you help people. That's how you save people. And that's key. Taffy, what made you choose your Renegade? Good question. I'm going to answer that. Versus something like a Honda Element. I like the Honda Elements though. Glam Gypsy almost got one, but she went to a minivan. Or a bigger SUV. That's a good question. Like a Wrangler or 4Runner or even a minivan. Great question, Taffy. So when I had started, thank you, Taffy. When I started looking at vehicles almost 2 years ago now, remember, I had purchased my Jeep Renegade before I had even thought of living full-time out of my car. I purchased my Jeep Renegade with just the mindset of, I want to start to downsize my life. Because at the time I bought my Jeep Renegade, I owned my house. I didn't even have it on the market for sale. I didn't even think of selling the house. And I was just getting out of a lease. I was leasing a Range Rover Evoque. And so and the only reason I leased a Range Rover Evoque, because before that I had a paid off Jeep Compass. The only reason I leased the Range Rover Evoque was because I lost a bunch of weight. And I traded in my Jeep Compass because I wanted a fancy car because I was getting back to being social because I lost a lot of weight. And I wanted to impress people. I bought it for the wrong reasons, I'm being honest with you. And so after that lease was over, I knew I made a mistake. I should have just kept the Jeep Compass. And so I said, let me start to get back to my foundational principles, which is living below my means, etc., etc. So I said, I definitely don't want to lease a car again, and I definitely don't want to lease a luxury car. I want to live a more simplistic life. That's where happiness is. I lived high on luxury, and I also lived simply. And what I found for me is that I enjoy living simply better. I have a lighter spirit. I have a more free spirit, and that's the type of life I want to live because we already know this world's hard. So when the lease was up, I started looking around, and I said, man, I really loved my Jeep Compass. And to be honest with you, I like how the Jeep Compass drives and feels inside even more than a Renegade, but it didn't have the height clearance and at that time, when my lease was over, the Jeep Renegade had just came out. It was like it was the second year, I apologize. The Jeep Renegade, I think, first came out in 2015. Mine's in 2016. And the outside of it, why I picked the Renegade, the outside was so inspiring. When I saw the outside of a Jeep Renegade, it fitted all my key criteria, which was, it was inspiring outside, and it had four-wheel drive. I wanted a four-wheel drive car because I live in the Northeast of the United States of America, and it snows in the winter. And when it snows, I have a job that if I need to be on site, I want to be able to get on site, and I need four-wheel drive. So that was a criteria. And then also for me, a criteria was I wanted something small and compact and good on fuel. So that kind of fit all those triggers. It had the outside that inspired me. It had the four-wheel drive. It was cute and compact. It was good on fuel. And it happened to be a Jeep, and I had a great experience with my Jeep Compass. So I liked the Wrangler. They're inspiring, but they was a little bit too big. They're a little bit of a gas guzzler, and it was just a little bit too big for me. And I didn't want anything bigger because, again, I was at that mindset of not living out of my car, but just living a more simple, small, cute life. I was even looking at that time, the Chevy Spark. The Chevy Spark is a small little car because I wasn't thinking of selling my house, but I was thinking about downsizing my life. Thank God I didn't get the Chevy Spark because there's no way I would be able to live out of my Chevy Spark. But so then 8 months after I bought my Renegade, I made a trip down to Florida, I think 6 months after, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to even take it I'm going to take it a step further than downsizing and simplifying my car. I'm going to see if I can downsize my house. And then obviously the story goes when I put my house on the market, because I always believe you should sell your house before you acquire another one. You don't want to be stuck with 2 mortgages. When I put my house on the market and it sold real quick, I couldn't find another one. Then I started looking on YouTube. I saw people living out of their cars. And I just said, maybe I can make this Jeep Renegade work. And, 8 months later, it started really working. And now it's a year. And I love it. I love my Jeep Renegade. And I love living out of it. It fits all the criteria. I really don't need anything else. What I will say is anybody thinking about living out of their car, living a mobile life, start with the car you have. When I sold my house, I didn't buy a new car. I looked at RVs. I looked at new cars. But I said, let me just start with what I have. And that always goes back to dream big, but start small. Start with the car you have. Always avoid that acquiring mindset. You can't acquire your way to happiness. Certainly once in a while you have to trade and you have to, upgrade. So again, it's all relative, but I just want to share that with you. Let me scroll back a little bit here. Linda, tomorrowsworld.org, hyphen one word. Many are called, but few are chosen. I believe that. God chooses you, not the other way around. I believe that to an extent. You look it up. Sorry, off the car talk. No, don't worry about it. Share whatever you want. You want to talk about spiritual stuff? You want to talk about politics? You want to talk about religion? You want to talk about sex? This is an open, safe forum. As long as everything is done in respect and positivity, I got no problem with anyone sharing. Now, I believe the scripture does say that. The Bible says that you didn't choose God, God chose you. And that many are called, but few are chosen. I believe that. That part of us, there's certain people that are just born with an inkling to be a certain way. That being said, that doesn't make any of us better than anyone else. And so that humility is really what blesses you. And even though God can call you, you have to, out of your free will, choose to be better. Choose to be better. So, that's key. A lot of people may have a calling on their life, but they don't choose to be better. And again, a lot of people that have a calling on their life, they have the mindset of, all right, I have a calling on my life. You feel the destiny on your life, and then they try to save the world. And that's where they fuck up. Because they have a mindset of, I'm going to save everyone else in this world, and then they neglect themselves. And that is the most uninspiring type of person I want to be around. That's hypocrisy waiting to happen, and that's an asshole. That's a rigid, too serious mind. True inspiration comes from true self-care. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. Never forget that. And so, yes, God will have a calling on your life. And if you don't want to believe in God, I respect atheists. I don't try to force my will on anyone. But I believe in that. But then what I believe is you have an obligation then to build your life. And faith without works is dead. So then you have to take the action. You have to take the works. Put in the work of your life. And show compassion first on yourself. And work first on yourself. Not trying to save your spouse, not trying to save your parents, not trying to save your children, trying to save yourself. Because if you haven't worked on your own life, how can you preach to anybody else they should be better? You can't. Because they're gonna throw it right back in your face. Who the fuck are you to tell me anything? Look at your life. That's what happens. I saw it. And so we have to be mindful of that to save ourselves. I know I'm speaking a little bit firm now, but I'm saying this now just because I'm passionate about it. So please discern that. That's not a mean tone. That's a passionate tone. And that I just want to share with you, this is exactly how I feel. That don't try to save the world. Save yourself. And through that, you will help the world. Okay? Tony Williams, I am doing the same thing you're doing next summer in Columbus, Ohio. Well, Tony, what I want to say is you can do it. You can do it. And I say that in serious, not in pandering. I always want to speak confidence and I want to speak encouragement. Now, I always balance it with caution. There'll be downside. And you see that also if you look at the context of my videos. I don't try to glorify things. I do say for me, as a single person with no family who doesn't want a family, this lifestyle, living mobile, living full-time out of my car, has been overall a blessing. It has some downside. But there's no way, Tony, or anyone else, there's no way for you to know without you experiencing it. You have your own life. You have your own opinion. So what I do encourage you to do everything as responsibly as possible, but do it. And even if you don't like it, you may not like it like me. But you know what? There's no way you will find out unless you do it for your life. And I want you to know it's okay if you don't always make the right decision. If you go out there and you try to live out of your car, van, or if you do something and it doesn't work out, that's okay. That's okay. That's the only way you will find what you're meant to be. So that's okay. Linda, small is my prayer. Maybe truck camper, only God knows. Yes, Linda, keep refining your vision. Because Linda, I know in my conversation with you, God's put something in your spirit where there's a passion. You have a passion. You have a vision. I talked about that in my earlier live feed, procrastination. Part of the way that you avoid procrastination is, one is you have to set a specific date. Then you have to take small steps, break a big problem down to small steps. The third is you have to visualize it. So you've definitely nailed the visualizing thing. You can visualize yourself living in a van. I want you to move closer to your vision because that's what's going to make you happy. It's Miss Kimberly. It's Miss Kimberly. Hey, how you doing, Miss Kimberly? You've always been a blessing to me, and I felt like I didn't give you enough energy in my last video. I apologize for that. I liked a couple of your Instagrams. And so it's Miss Kimberly, one of the key people that inspires me, that encourages me, and that matters to me. And so you are recognized and you're appreciated. And that's love. That's love. That's real. Hey, it's Miss Kimberly. Linda giving you some love. And it's Miss Kimberly. Hey, Linda, back at you with a smiley face. And Linda, that's right. Excuse the lighting here. It's getting nighttime here in the Northeast. That's right. It's like, I'm encouraged because it's the end of the week. I nailed, and I was productive again. I got through another week. I got income coming in. You want a job. Like, again, I don't preach live out of your car and forget a job. You need income. So even though it was a little bit tough getting back to work this week, I feel inspired because I got it all done. Now I have a few days off. And then after that, I got another couple of weeks vacation. I'm very thankful. I'm inspired. That's right. Here's Linda. That's right. It's like someone who used to smoke. Start with you. Amen. And I used to smoke. I smoked cigarettes and I smoked weed and I drank alcohol. That's all I ever did. Never did anything harder than that. But I'm telling you, because I remember one time being on a street corner in Jersey City. Respect and love to anybody who's ever been in Jersey City. Well, my man, I'm not going to say his full name, Jay. I'll just call him Jay. And he used to go to college in St. Peter's in Jersey City. And we were on a street corner in the middle of the night. We were drinking alcohol. And I remember, because it was always inside me to be like inspirational and like to teach knowledge. And I remember being outside in the street corner drinking alcohol, and I started like teaching knowledge to like people, and teaching self-improvement to like, and like one of my men, he laughed at me, goes, Sam, what the hell are you talking about? You're sitting there with a beer in your hand just like us. and that always stuck out with me. And there were great supporters. There were supporters of me, but it always, it reminded me that before I get into my rant on saving the world, I have to be the example. But that's also part of your season, is that until you are in that same predicament as others, until you're on that street corner drinking alcohol, until you're in an unhealthy household, until you're in debt, until you're overweight, you will never have a true understanding on what you need to speak to. If I wasn't, in the street for a part of my life, I wouldn't have an understanding of it. If I wasn't morbidly obese for a certain part of my life, I wouldn't have an understanding of it. If I wasn't buried in debt for a certain part of my life, I wouldn't have an understanding of it. I mean, so if I didn't work for minimum wage and work for six figures, I wouldn't have an understanding of, how it's hard to get from the bottom and how people act all the way at the top. Having the actual experience, there's no substitute. I mean, I remember Treach from Naughty by Nature said, if you've never been to ghetto, don't ever come to the ghetto. You'll never understand the ghetto. And I know that's, a lot of people may not know hip hop or whatever, but that's the mindset of you have to actually go and be engaged in something before you can fully understand it. And again, I just want to state that don't try to save the world. Save yourself. Self-care. Take care of yourself. That's the first step. Oh, Uptown Window, Pittsburgh is in the house, and Uptown Window is a real estate agent. Anyone looking to sell? All right, yo, we'll take you in the kitchen with me while I clean and cook. Yes, take me in the kitchen. All right, take me in the kitchen. It's the weekend. It's time to clean, and I'm thankful. Yeah, I used to listen to Sade and clean my house, and I used to be inspired by that, but not anymore. At the end, I wasn't inspired. But thank you for taking me with you, Uptown Window, Pittsburgh. It's Miss Kimberly. That's right. Gotta fly. You may not land on your feet, but at least you try. Yes. It's Miss Kimberly. You have to have a goal. And this is for everybody. You have to, and this, I'm just referencing it's Miss Kimberly. She brought it up. You have to have a goal. Like I always say, you want to be a vegetarian? Have a goal to be one. You know what? Tomorrow you may end up in Popeye's fried chicken parking lot. But over time, if that's your goal, if that's your focus, you will end up better than what you started. What's the other saying? Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you're amongst the stars. Having a goal, then going for it, even if you fail, even if you don't end up all the way there, you will be better than what you started. That's wisdom. I agree with that. That's okay, Sam. I saw that. Thanks for the love. No, it's love. It does matter to me. Thank you. It's Miss Kimberly. All your support. And somebody even said earlier in this feed, let me roll back to see who it was. I want to acknowledge them. Taffy. Taffy said that he listened to my live feed on consumerism Black Friday. And I said, well, that was actually it's Miss Kimberly's suggestion for that topic. So, respect and love to It's Miss Kimberly, and thank you, Taffy, for recognizing that. And if anyone has a suggestion on a live feed at any time, just leave it on a comment in one of my videos and we'll get to it. Taffy, maybe in a future video you can touch on escaping the rat race. Oh, that's a good topic. Keeping up with the Joneses. I've been there. That's a whole culture. You're right. I feel like it's a major for living a happy, simple life. Amen. Not thinking of one-upping. Yes. Like I said, I've lived with luxury cars. I've lived in consumer debt. And I have tried to compete with others. Never in a real, malicious way, because I was never the type of person that I want to one-up people. But just like you're saying, Taffy, that rat race, that consumerism cycle. The only way to get out of that consumerism cycle is saving yourself. See, because when you're in that consumerism cycle, you may not be trying to save the world, but maybe you're trying to impress the world. And it's a similar mindset. You're trying to prove that you make it. You're trying to prove to your friends, your family. You're trying to prove to people that, broke up with you. You're trying to prove something. So it may not be I'm trying to save the world where I'm Mother Teresa, but you're trying to prove something to the world. It's the same mindset, just in a different way. Get back to, I want to save myself. You're never going to save yourself by getting caught into that consumerism trap. Because that are shackles to your freedom and your creativity. And your freedom and your creativity and your dreams, even if you're not creative, you have dreams. Everybody's different. That's part of your destiny. And that can only be done when you're not weighed down by too much financial obligation. Because then you're free to be yourself. And then you realize that, a whole nother world, a whole nother dimension has opened up to me. And then when you are truly yourself, you're your happiness. When I found myself, like I said, that last car I leased, that Range Rover, I remember almost as soon as I bought it, I had buyer's remorse. Because I had already been through that cycle in my early 20s, and I had the Jeep Compass paid off for, and then I brought that in a dealership, and I used that as a down payment to lease the Range Rover. And as soon as I got it, I almost had instant buyer's remorse. And then I remember a few nights just driving around, almost looking to hang out with somebody just to impress them, or just to say, oh, your car's so nice, And then I said, what the hell am I doing? I've already been down this road, and it doesn't fulfill me. It's an empty, dead-end, unfulfilling road. And so like I said, there's no easy answer. I had to suffer through my own poor decisions. I had to suffer, almost, 3 years. 3 years of that lease payment of just wasted money. And then I said, but sometimes you have to bottom out. Like we were talking a little bit earlier, how do you get out of debt? I mean, some things may be forgiven, but you know what? To me, get out of debt, it took a lot of years of suffering, too. I'm not going to lie. I remember going to one car dealership when my credit was totally shot and I was totally in debt. And I had to get a car because my beater broke down. And, they were like, well, I wanted a used car. And they were like, well, we're not going to sell you a used car because your credit your credit sucks, basically, is what he told me. And used cars are more risky for banks. We'll only give you a new car. Because new cars are less of a risk for them, because if they repossess it, then at least, it has value. And so they said, we'll lease you a new car, but it's going to be 23% interest. Okay? So my credit was fucked up. I was in debt. I had to take it. I had to take it in the ass. When you have no other option, you have to take it. And so, I remember even saying in the dealership, well, I made my own bed. I have to deal with it. And so it just took years and years and years to dig out of that. So I don't want to, give you a false impression that it's going to be overnight. But again, I go back to, don't get overwhelmed. Because a lot of people get in a hole and then they get overwhelmed. How do I get out? Small steps. How do I get out from, I know I let my body go. I know I let myself go. How do you get out? Small steps. Once in a while, big dramatic step. With small steps. Fall, you get up. That's wisdom. Thank you, Taffy. Linda's brother is born in Jersey City. Okay. It's Miss Kimberly, 3 laughs to the side. Must have been something I was talking about crazy earlier. Uptown Window, laugh out loud. I used to get called the philosopher at the bar. Yes. So you're at the bar, and God has already ingrained in you a level. Yeah, so you're at the bar. God has already ingrained in you, because like Linda said, I do believe that to an extent. You didn't choose God. God chose you. And even if you don't believe in God, let's just say you're chose with some type of positive impression. You have some type of positive, insightful, wise spirit. So you're at the bar, you're somewhere, and you're speaking some knowledge, and you're giving some inspiration, and they're looking at you like, who the hell are you? You're doing the same shit as me. And so we've all been there, and then you have to look back and say, you know what? Well, let me just work on myself. Let me stop trying to save the world, and let me save myself. That's wisdom. Let me scroll back because I missed some comments. I apologize about that. Sailing, what's going on, brother? Hey again, hey to you. All right. Just since I discovered you, Sam, I've been I've been post on cabin wall some of your quote. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for posting some of my quotes on your wall. And I want to encourage you that as you get inspired, some quotes that you think of will come to you. I want you to write your own quotes. I want to unlock yourself because I want you to be you. So there's going to be things that come to your mind that inspire you. Write them down. Put yourself on that refrigerator, on that cabin wall too, because I always want to build that mindset of never putting anyone, including me, on a pedestal. Because again, I've learned that also in the church life. You put somebody very high up and eventually they let you down, and then you lose all your inspiration for this world. My goal is so that you get to the point where you inspire yourself, and that, you allow others to inspire you and you document their lives. Believe me, all the time, like especially when I'm low on my inspiration, I look for other people to inspire me. But I never have a mindset. I just want to build you up. I want you to think and believe in yourself just as much, because it's in you, Sailing. And Sailing has a YouTube channel too. Sailing lives in this boat full time, and I think that's very inspiring and motivating. Thank you, Sailing. Dana says hi to you too, Sailing. Sailing said, hey back, Milano from Miami. That's my guy. I like Milano. Milano, me and him are very similar in how we move, or at least how we think. In other words, is a waste of time. I don't know what comment he was talking about, but Milano's my guy from Miami. How you doing in the RV down there? And he had a business for several years. It's Miss Kimberly said sacrifice. Yes. I hate to say the word, God will give you some grace, but part of your journey for self-improvement is going to be sacrifice. And part of how you save yourself is sacrifice. And that's part of how you help the world. I mean, there has to be a level of sacrifice. Sailing took me 62 years till I got out of all the shit of the world. Yeah. And John's his name again. Thank you for saying your name again. John also has the sailing tag. So John, powerful. And I think, I like too that John's on. 62 years it took for him to really figure out this stuff of the world. But he has simplified his life and he's living his vision. So let him be an inspiration to you. If you think you're too old, if you think it's too late for you, hell no, it's not. Start today. Start this weekend. And it may not get done this weekend, but start and keep going. Keep those small steps up. Milano, we learn as we waste our time in the past. Amen, Milano. Also, what happened to me today was, and it happens to me once in a while when I think of getting sad, my mind starts to go to the past. Past things that I've done wrong, past failures, past sad moments. You cannot let your mind latch on to the past. That's wisdom, Milano. That's wisdom. Let go. Let go. Letting go of the past is how you move forward. Moving forward is saving yourself. Moving backwards to the past, that's killing yourself. Save yourself. Move forward. Let go of the past. That's wisdom, Milano. Tony Williams, I've been watching your videos and I haven't seen one about surviving the winter months in your car. Maybe you did one, maybe you didn't. Thank you, Tony. Well, last year, I started living full-time out of my car in about end of February. So, end of February, there was some cold nights. The coldest it's been in my car, I think it was about 19 degrees. And so I started the end of last February as far as living in my car. I put my house on the market in December. And so it's been a transition. This is my first full winter in my car. I made it through the whole summer. And even last winter, I mean, I made it through some cold nights. Like I said, I got down to 19 degrees. So certainly it may get colder. But it's Miss Kimberly commented, yes, if you want to see how I make it out through 19-degree nights or how I have, layering up. When you layer up, I lived in a house for a couple winters that didn't have heat. So there's no difference. If I lived in the same exact region with no heat in the house. So layering up will get it done. And I mean, compression, undergarments, you know what I mean? Like the cap that you put over your face, a scarf. And, it may look silly to others, but it keeps me inspired. It keeps, I feel more connected with nature living in my car. Sounds stupid to some people, but it's true. I know Bob Wells, who was one of the founders of like the nomadic movement, he has mentioned that in some of his videos, and I agree with that statement. When you live out of your car, what you're doing is basically you're on a long-term camping trip. And I never was into camping when I was young because I grew up in a very urban environment. Suburb, but it was still very urban. And so basically when if you decide to live in your car, without, you're just camping. But you're camping in almost an insulated tent. And don't forget, at any time, all I have to do is start my car and I have central air and heat. Every car is a generator. At any time, if I get really cold in the middle of the night, I'll just start my car. And I'll heat it up a little bit, and then I'll turn it off. So a lot of times, we're not conditioned as society that cars can be living. But in today's society, cars having heating and having cooling, I mean, if you wake up and you're that cold, you can start your car and go to a hotel if it's really that bad. And two is you could just start it up and put your heat on for 10 minutes and then turn it off. You don't have to leave it idle all night. And I got blankets and I'm layered up. It's totally warm. And it's been great for me. I've enjoyed it. I'm not going to tell you that it's for everyone because everyone is different. And it may or may not work for you. But I will tell you the only way you'll know is if you try. And if you can do it responsibly and if it's your desire, I tell you do it. Let me scroll back to some of the comments. Yes, it's Miss Kimberly said I layer up. Hey, Deb, the greater Bibby. How you doing, Deb? Hey, Sam with the emoji face. Thank you. Deb is here. Yes, Deb, love and respect to you. I'm just getting to know Deb, and I appreciate another positive person I met. Again, 90% of the people I met, very positive. And I'm very thankful for that. That is part of the creative thing that keeps me inspired doing these YouTubes is, again, I have met 10% negative that I can never make happy and that I have to block. But I will never, that's a life lesson too. And that's what you'll learn in the message that I'm saying tonight. Don't try to save the world, save yourself. When you try to save the world, you will run into the 10% of bad people in this world. And they will totally uninspire you. And what that will do is that will turn you off to the other 90% good and decent people in this world. And that's a reflection. YouTube is almost a reflection of society. I have met, and this is no joke, 90% of the people that I've connected with on YouTube, positive people. Great people. I've learned things from them. They've inspired me. 10%, bad news. And so certainly when you get bad, negative, hateful stuff, you want to shut down your whole YouTube account. And a lot of people shut down their social media because of that. But you have to make a decision that you're not going to allow the 10% bad people to turn you off from the 90% good people. Because part of saving yourself is also being connected to other positive, inspiring, like-minded people. And when you totally disconnect, you hurt yourself. You hurt yourself. And that's not wisdom. Dana says you can't move ahead if you are looking in the rearview mirror. Amen, Dana. You have to let go of the past and you have to move forward. Tupac had a song called Looking in His Rearview Mirror. And that was part of too, almost like that mindset of that brought him backwards. You have to look forward. If you always look in your rearview mirror, you'll crash. Why? Because you're focused on the past, not what's ahead of you. And that will always cause an accident. Remember that. If you look too long in your rearview mirror, you're going to get in an accident. Because the only way you stay in the right place is if you focus on what's ahead of you. And that's key. And that's even Paul the Apostle said, for anybody who's out there who believes in that Bible, the spiritual realm, is that he says he forgets the past and that he puts all his effort focusing on what lies ahead of him. Why did he say that? Because he was a murderer. Paul the Apostle was a religious nut, religious fanatic, and he was on the Jewish, started with the real Jewish sect, real Jewish tradition, and everyone was Jewish. Jesus was Jewish. All the original apostles were Jewish. Christianity really wasn't a new religion. It was just a new way to view spirituality. So initially, when Jesus started giving these new teachings, it wasn't like he was forming a new religion. He was giving his perspective on his take on the Jewish scriptures. And so Paul was part of the sect that opposed him. He was very much a traditionalist. And he would seek out people that were speaking this new perspective, and he would persecute and physically hurt them. And then eventually, Paul, through maturing, had said, you know what? This perspective is actually enlightening and freeing. And then he, in one sense, converted to just a different perspective. At that time, again, it wasn't even called Christianity. It was just a different way of thinking. And then that's why he was always tormented. He was the one that said that he had a thorn in his flesh. He had a thorn in his side. That's where that saying comes from. You ever hear that saying? That, oh, that person's a thorn in my side. That comes from the biblical scripture reference that Paul the Apostle wrote. He goes, even though I've received great revelations from God, I also have this thorn in my side that torments me. And that thorn is meant to humble you and to keep you depending on the grace of God. Because he would get tormented by his past life and how he was a harsh persecutor and how he was real rigid and serious and he hurt people. He didn't do it necessarily out of being evil, but he was in the wrong mindset. And the only way he could be as a benefit to the new way of thinking about faith is if he went forward. And that's why he said, I focus all my energy, not as on what is behind me, but what lies ahead. That's what he focused everything on. And that's the mindset you have to have, because you're going to get haunted by the past. Every night, especially once the sun goes down, you're going to get haunted by past memories. You have to focus all your energy on going forward and letting go of the past. That's wisdom. John Sailing says, which goes with maybe you can do a future short video called Focus. Yes, I will. Thank you for the suggestion, John. Deb, I think it is like grounding yourself. Yes. Grounding yourself is remembering that you have failed. Now, all of us, myself included, when things are going good for a consistent period of time, we get a little bit prideful. And that goes back to that thorn in the side. He questioned God. He said, God, why'd you give me this thorn in the side? And it was to keep him humble, keep him depending on the grace of God. So once in a while, I did one of my earlier videos, one of my first videos was, failure teaches compassion. Now you have to balance that, because if you get too much in a wishy-washy mode, the tail will wag the dog and people will emotionally manipulate you. You have to have a firm, mature mindset of, look, you can disagree with me, but I kind of know what I'm saying is right now. But you have to have a grounding. You have to have a compassion. Deb's totally right with that. It's a balance. It's a tough balance. We're constantly searching for balance. So that's an ongoing, never-ending process. It's Miss Kimberly. Me too. AC was broke for a few days. I just layered up. Better cold than hot. Yes, and that's kind of like what my mom used to always say. That really, air conditioning and heating, it really is not natural. It's forced elements to control the temperature. Now, certainly you need it, but that can cause a lot of times asthma and breathing problems, especially as bacteria and dirt builds up on those filters. No matter what, you should always have a window cracked because you want fresh air intake. And that's what I'm saying, like living in your car and you're really around natural elements, and I always keep my windows cracked even when it's freezing. That natural air is healing. Being around nature overall and not manipulating the climate to the point where, and I got to a place in my life where I couldn't, I had to be in a controlled cooling environment. But there's wisdom in natural air and in feeling the elements. Now, again, I'm certainly not saying that you should try to prove that, you're Mr. or Mrs. Survivor and that you should try to go survive in the hardest, coldest night or survive in a Florida hurricane. Certainly when it's wise, you need to seek refuge. But I'm talking on average, there's 365 days in a year. I would say for 350 days out of the year, they're survivable days. Out of the entire year, there may be 15 days if you're in a normal climate. There's definitely places in the world that have extreme climates for extreme periods of time. Like I think Alaska, there's like 6 months where there's like complete darkness. So a little bit of this is relative. But if you're an overall a moderate state that has moderate seasons, 350 days out of the year are going to be survivable. And there may be 2 weeks out of the entire year, you know, 1 week in the summer and 1 week in the winter, maybe 3 or 4 that are really harsh that you may have to seek refuge. But other than that, I mean, being in the outdoor environments is nature, and that's healing. I agree with that. Nature is healing. That's what Dana said. Amen. I agree with that. Milano from Miami. Excuse me for getting loud. I know I get excited. Check my friend videos. Elimo's Journey. Small scale living. Okay. Leave a link for him. I'm all for that. I never heard of Emilio's. I'll check him out because I'm always looking for inspiration. And I encourage you too. I mean, look for inspiration, things that inspire you and that get your mindset right. Deb, yep, you'll always get 10% negative. Yes, you'll always get 10% negative. And that's why, like, sometimes, and I address everything, sometimes you hear political conversation and people try to make a point off the 10% bad. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle, because I understand there's wisdom on both sides of the aisle. No one side is 100% right. I'm a fair-minded person. But when either side tries to make a political point, what they do is they take the 10% bad and they try to emphasize that this is 90% of the problem. But it's not. It's 10%. And so you always have to be fair in your evaluation. Again, it happens on both sides. So just be fair in knowing that, and don't let the 10% bad people in this world turn you off to the 90% good. Because if you do, it will be at your own harm. Because you will close out not only yourself, but your mind. And a closed-minded person will never grow. They will never heal. Certainly, you have to balance that with boundaries. And certainly some people are wolves, and you got to be very careful. But, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, give you healthy perspective. Deb, always look on the bright side of things. Yes, optimism is wisdom. Hope is somewhat naive, but hope is needed. Without hope, without optimism, I mean, you're going to live a horrible life. Like I said, there was part of my journey where I was never bitter, but I was too serious. I mean, because I'm a passionate, inspirational person to some extent. So I have to be careful that in my reading, in my research, in my passion, I don't get lost in being too serious. And I could. And in my immature days, I got lost in being too serious. And I didn't learn how to laugh things off when I should have just laughed them off. I took everything too personally. And I took all the burdens of this world on my soul. I had to save the world instead of saving myself. That mindset is key. And so you have to learn to laugh a little bit and to enjoy. And to say, you know what? This silly stuff is wisdom. There was a movie I watched. It was about an old couple. And they were both widowers, and a widow and a widower, a male and a female, and both of their spouses had died. And they were very old. They were like in their late 70s, 80 years old. And the female, they were neighbors for a period of time. The female was like flirting with the male. And she was like a little bit lying and exaggerating. And once they had started a relationship, the older senior, the male, he said to the older female, he goes, "Why'd you lie to me? You know, you should never lie, this and that." And he got very upset. And then he started to remember how he used to get upset at his wife when she would lie or exaggerate. And then he realized he had to loosen up a little bit. That even though, yes, she lied, it was small peanuts, so to say. It wasn't the big picture. And you have to learn to just let some things go and laugh a little bit. And then they went on a date. And the female got like real like playful, and she was like, you know, dancing in the there was like a water fountain or something, and she started dancing in it just to have fun. And he started to get real serious, like, "Get out of that waterfall, you're making a fool of yourself." And then he caught himself, and he remembered how he was with his first wife. Instead of seizing that moment and like just making fun of it and saying, "You know what, let's just have a good time and dance in this waterfall, dance in this fountain," even though it may not be 100%, you know, proper. You know, he learned that he had took life too serious. And there is a time to be serious, but there's also a time for levity, which means there's a time for laughter. There's a time to loosen up. There's a time to not always be proper. And that's a well-balanced mind. And that's a mind that will enjoy life a little bit more. And that's wisdom. That was a good movie. I don't remember the name of it. And I know I probably didn't do it justice, but I'm just sharing what was on my spirit. Sailing, a.k.a. John. Fish jump every night. Ducks want to be fed here on the water. Now again, John lives full-time in his boat. Very interesting. Nature plus awesome really helps my mind instead of a house creaking. I agree with that, John. Just like your alternative lifestyle living in a boat, my alternative lifestyle living in a car has connected me with nature in a greater way. Obviously, it's connecting you with nature in a greater way with fish and everything like that. And for me, I think it's healing. And I think that's wisdom. That's a great comment. Linda, I will live in my van full-time someday and will be well. Linda, thank you for speaking that. Linda, let me ask you this. Give me a specific goal, a specific date you would like to be living in your van by. Even if you don't get there, I would like you to say a specific date to help you step closer to your vision. And even if you start to live in your van and it's not for you, if you can do it responsibly, I want to encourage you to live your dream. Sailing, also known as John, owned three homes during years. Yeah, so he owned 3 homes during the course of his lifetime. That'll wear your soul. I only owned one, and after 15 years, it wears my soul out. Now again, for some people it doesn't. So I don't want to be unfair and say an alternative lifestyle is for everyone. It's not. For some people, being in their home inspires them, and they should continue that. You should only leave your house when you're no longer inspired by it, period. And you should always live below your means, period. And Deb says, sounds lovely, Sailing John. Yes, I'm inspired by John. I mean, John living full-time in his boat, I think that's very inspirational. And he worked his whole life, again, not a lazy man, a hard-working man. Had a wife who got sick and passed away. Didn't give up on life. I give him a lot of credit. Didn't receive any guilt. Pushed forward and is focusing on going forward and is focusing on enjoying his years. And he has a lot to add to the conversation. John, I want you to continue to post videos on your channel. 2 reasons. 1 is it's therapeutic, okay? 2 is it's part of self-growth. And 3 is it's going to heal somebody else. I want to encourage you, man. Keep posting videos. Even if no one watches. In the beginning of my journey, when I posted videos for like the first month and a half, I got maybe 1, 2 views. And sometimes I was the only person watching. That's why I thank God for everybody who joins. Because as much as I'm confident, it's still a blessing to get encouraged. Again, everything is about consistency. If you consistently do something, even if you go for a month without any traction, eventually consistency pays off. Eventually. And if you do things for the right reasons. Sailing, John. It's available to everyone, this lifestyle. As Sam has said many times, just do it, don't wait. Yes, seize the moment. Now, there is a way to do it responsibly, and you have to do it in small steps. But I am saying, seize the moment. Seize the moment and start. Start imperfect, start scared, and it's going to be a little bit sloppy in the beginning. And if you don't like it, you can always change. But you have to seize the moments of your life. That's wisdom. It's Miss Kimberly, from Tupac to Paul the Apostle. That's right. Yeah, because I believe Tupac was inspired. God touched his life just like Paul the Apostle touched his life. Just like, God can touch anyone. God can touch your life. It's Miss Kimberly. God touched your life. Dana, God touched your life. John, God touched your life. That's why I always say, I thank God John put, my quotes on his refrigerator. But I also believe, John's adding some value to the conversation. Don't ever put anyone, including Paul the Apostle, don't put anyone on a pedestal to the point where you don't believe in yourself and you don't think for yourself, etc., etc. Because the way you honor someone, whether they're a biblical figure or whether they're a family member or whether they're a hero, the way you honor someone is you live to be your best self. That's how you honor God, and that's how you honor people who inspire you. When you live to be your best self. That's not blasphemy. That's you fulfilling your destiny. When you live to be your best self, that's you honoring God. Powerful, man. Think for yourself. Don't be led astray by a pastor. Don't be led astray by a motivational speaker. Don't be led astray by anyone. You think for yourself. Because God wants you to think for yourself. God's inside you. If you believe that, then you can think for yourself. You can learn from anyone, and you should be open-minded to listen to everyone. But you should think for yourself, always, always. Amen. Thank you, Miss Kimberly. I appreciate that. Linda, God's will take care of me right now. Yes, God will take care of you. Be thankful, be helpful to all, baby steps every day. Yes. God's grace covers you, Linda. That's right. God's grace covers all of us. That means even if you fuck up and even if you never get shit right, God's grace be with you. Can anything separate you from the love of God? No. That's back to Paul Apostle. He said even demons and devil himself can't separate you from the love of God. Nothing can separate you from the grace of God. Not some asshole, nobody. Even if you totally fuck up, Now again, Sam, are you saying everyone goes to heaven? Look, I'm not saying who's going to heaven or hell. The Bible also says you shouldn't do that. What I'm saying is I'm not trying to save the world. I'm trying to save myself. And that starts with grace. That starts with compassion. I don't worry about who's going to heaven, who's going to hell. I worry about, I got to get my own shit in order. Every day, I got to self-improve. Every day, I want to move forward. I have all my energy focused on that. And anyone that can get blessed by that overflow, then that's what it is. But I don't spend my time focusing on trying to save the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? That mindset. That's a healthy mindset. Deb, air conditioning is fake. I agree. I didn't always think that, but I think that's right. And unhealthy if not maintained. Oh, definitely. And I didn't change my air filter many times. Oh, it caused my air conditioning to fuck up a little bit. And, yeah, I mean, after you run your air conditioning or after you run your heating all night, you'll wake up with a bunch of phlegm. Now, look, you still even live in a car. Once in a while, you wake up with mucus. One thing I want to say, too, is when I was young, I got pneumonia. How did I get pneumonia? Swallowing my phlegm. If you have children or if you yourself, you have to teach them to blow your nose. When I was a kid, I didn't want to blow my nose. Like even right now, I got to blow my nose. It's crazy. When you don't blow your nose, I don't know why when I was a kid, I just didn't want to do it. It was like work. Swallowing your phlegm, laying on your back at night and sleeping and swallowing your mucus, that will build up in your lungs. And it will build up at a higher degree when you run heating and air conditioning. Because, again, that's forced elements, not natural fresh air intake. And that mucus will build up in your body and will make you sick. Now, it doesn't mean you can never be in air conditioning and heating houses, but I'm saying you have to be mindful of that, and you should also always crack your windows. You need that fresh air intake. Excuse me for a minute. Linda, see all as joy. Yeah, you got to see positive. I agree with that. And I'm saying if you pray, why worry? Yeah, you shouldn't worry. The Bible says, can worry add one moment to your life? It can't. So, believe me, we all, especially depending on what part of life we in, we get seduced into worrying our life away, but you can't worry. Worrying will not solve the problem, and it won't add a moment to your life. So what's the answer? Let go. Let go, period. Not easy, but that's the answer. Let go. Let go of the past. Let go of your worries. Let go of your cares. Forward. Yep, and you got it. I hear that scripture. I hear it. Not much pain. Linda, go forward. Linda, set a specific date. Set a specific date and take small steps every day. And play your music. Whatever music you like. I don't care if it's gospel, rock and roll, country, classical. Music heals the soul. And music motivates the soul. Whatever type of music you like. I don't care what it is. Sometimes I listen to some rough-ass music, but it inspires me. So, you got to do what you got to do. Everyone, let's give Sam a hand clap for not pandering to us and keeping it real. Thank you. 3 claps. Yes, thank you. I'm the compassionate Trump. And, I like Trump. Sometimes Trump's okay with some things. I didn't vote for him, but, I don't pander. I mean, that's part of what I agree a little bit with him. I mean, and I don't mean to get contentious, but I'm a well-rounded person where I do engage in, political and philosophical and all aspects of life. Like I said, I always get concerned when I watch certain channels and say, well, I'm not going to talk about religion or politics. Because then it's like, well, all right, well, you're just going to show and dance me. And because everyone has an opinion and everyone has a perspective. And again, if you're a fair-minded person, what you're going to realize is that everybody's a little bit right. No one person is like the devil and trying to kill people. It's just, it's just that you may agree with some people more than others, etc., etc. But don't get caught also in that political mindset of, I only believe in this person or this theory and nothing else. And this person's evil or this person's great. Just try to take out what you can from someone and think for yourself. That's wisdom. That's wisdom. Deb, that's great to hear you realize that you're too serious mindset and wised up. Yes. And it's Miss Kimberly, got to go. Thank you. It's Miss Kimberly. Love and respect and honor to you. I appreciate you very much. Hope you have a positive night. And don't let these guys lead you astray. Because you're a hot single woman and I don't want you to get seduced into a bad guy. I want the best for you. But I also gotta let you live, even if you get seduced by a bad guy. I understand. It's like the father. You gotta let you got. But I love you. I appreciate you. Yeah, and I thank God for a woman's perspective. A woman told me that, and I think that's a level of a value. And it's not all of the value, because a woman has many values in her own ways. Some are valued in intelligence, some are valued in wisdom. I mean, women and men are the same, but there's different levels of a perspective that are helpful. For me, from my experience, I grew up in a household full of women, and a woman told me that Sam, you're being a little bit too serious. And for me, what I'm saying is, for me, that was one of the values that women in general have taught me in my life, and I thank God for a woman's perspective. That's why you need a woman's perspective at the table. Does it mean all women are right? No. Does it mean all women are wrong? No. What I'm trying to say is, there is a nurturing quality, and there is a level of compassion, there's a level of silliness in one sense. Again, there's still the same level of intelligence and everything else. It's not any different. But it's just, I know from growing up in a household of women that there was a certain perspective that I got on life, a certain lightness, a certain empathy, a certain perspective. I'm trying to articulate it, but I really probably can't fully. But I just want to say that there's a woman's touch that's needed, and that should be honored, and I thank God for it, period. Linda, don't sweat the small shit. That's right. Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff. I agree with that all day. Deb, bye, it's Miss Kimberly. Yes, we love Miss Kimberly. You, like you said, 3 chairs, Sam, and we do too. Thank you, Deb, too, as well. Thank you, it's Miss Kimberly. I love you. Have a safe night. Be safe. Linda, January 25th, 2018. Thank you, Linda. January 25th, 2018. My girls are in, I believe that's Colorado. This is a big USA. I hate where I am. I am a good woman and need healthy love and change. Yes, Linda, speak life into your situation. You have a date. Now you push forward. And even if you don't make it 100%, you'll be 90% better than what you started. By the end of January, your situation is going to change. You have spoken in existence. You're holding yourself accountable. And you have grace if you fall. Now go forward. That's wisdom. Yes, please, John. That'd be lovely to watch your videos. Yes. Yes. John, too. Yeah. John, if you got videos you live in, whatever videos you want to make, if they want to be about you living in a boat, or they want to be about philosophy, or if they want to be about when you were a caretaker, whatever they want to be you. That's always my answer. Be you. I don't want to tell you how to live. Be the best you. Don't try to save the world. Be yourself. Okay? Yes, just do it until you know how to do it better. Yeah, keep pushing forward. Fake it till you make it. In one sense, that just keep putting yourself out there. Keep putting yourself out there. Only we can help ourselves, yes. And as we help ourselves, I believe, my personal opinion now, God's grace gets even greater. And other people, as you help yourself, other people see that, and then you get favor. People actually give you more of a hand. People actually want to help you more succeed when they see you helping yourself. Because you're an inspiration to them. People go out of their way to help you when you're helping yourself because you inspire them with you not even knowing it. And that's a blessing. It's a two-way blessing. John says, thanks, Greater Deb. Thanks, Deb. Check me out at YT Sailing Dijon. Like Sam said, it is therapeutic. Yes. There was a movie, I'm going to continue reading your comment. There was a movie that came out last winter. I didn't watch it, but I want to watch it. I like Will Smith as the actor. I think it was about Will Smith, and he lost his family or something in an accident. And he was writing a journal. And excuse me. He had lost his family, and he was writing a journal. This was what the trailer was about. He was writing a journal, and it was like, documenting all his deep, even dark thoughts somewhat. And someone had, I believe, asked the therapist, what was this journal about? And she was saying, a journal documenting your thoughts is therapeutic. I love music. If you ever listen to your favorite musician, listen to some of their interviews on YouTube. And I guarantee you, if you listen to enough of their interviews, they will say that making music is therapy to me. It's therapeutic. Because what music is, writing music and singing it, it's documenting your thoughts. It's a journal, and then you're singing your thoughts to hymns. You know, when you document your thoughts and when you share them, and sometimes they may be dark thoughts, sometimes they may be, not the best thoughts. But the only way to get your thoughts better, and the only way to refine yourself, is to share them and let light come onto your being. And that's therapeutic. That's what therapy is. Sharing it all, good and bad and everything in between. In an overall positive way, but you have to share it all, and it helps. It helps. It does. Let me go back to a little bit. He says therapeutic. Funny, I would never put myself out there before. Yes, you have to put yourself out there. It's not easy, and yes, you're going to take some hits. Yes, some people are going to make you feel insecure. But you know what I do? This is what I do, John. I want to share with everybody who's listening, please. Every time I lose a subscriber, whether I'm talking about my YouTube channel specifically or whether I talk about life, I'm actually thankful. Because I realize that they're not for me. Not that they're against me. Because believe me, there's some people that just, don't vibe. And that's okay. Just like I unsubscribe to some people. There's not an evil intent. But what I'm trying to say is, it almost makes the burden lighter when people who aren't meant to be in your life, when they leave your life. It's almost like a blessing. Because it's one less person you have to worry about tap dancing for. It's one less person you're responsible to keep happy. And then at the end, when you're willing to lose people for being yourself, again, as long as you're being positive, then all you're left with is the right people in your life. And when the right people are in your life, all you have to do is be yourself. You don't have to put up a tap dance show. And you have to, and that's what I'm saying, part of expressing yourself has to be for the right reasons. If you're doing it for the reason of pandering and for the reason of trying to get an endorsement and trying to see your subscriber numbers go up, then you're in it for the wrong reason. And even if they go up, you're not going to be in a good place. You're still going to be seeing a therapist. I was watching a Nomad channel the other day. I don't know how I got seduced into it because it was really about a bunch of garbage. And she has thousands and thousands of subscribers. She gets thousands and thousands of views on each video. And you know what she was sharing? She still sees us as like, she's still in therapy. I'm not against therapy, and so I think it's wisdom to see therapy. And she was sharing some insightful things. But what I'm trying to say is, she was a little bit of a panderer too. I mean, so what I'm trying to say is when you live that tap dancing life, when you're trying to, if you're not trying to save the world, you're trying to, sell the world. When you're trying to, create, you're so worried about the wrong things and you do things for the wrong reasons, you'll never be happy. Like I say, it all goes back to even competing with the Joneses. When you have a house and when you have a car, like I did for a few years, I had a car for the wrong reasons, you're not going to be happy. My car looked great on paper. The subscriber numbers may look great on paper, but you're not going to be happy inside. So from the outside, you see somebody with all these subscribers, you see somebody with this nice car, you think they're happy. They're not happy. Maybe they are, maybe they are. I'm just sharing my experience. True happiness comes when you do things for the right reasons. And when you lose the wrong people, it's a blessing. Because then only the right people are left in your life. And that makes the load lighter. That's better. Deb says, yay, Linda, go for it. Yes, move forward towards your dreams. Scared and sloppy, but move forward. Uptown Window. I'm starting a new side business. Here you go. Okay. And I'm starting a new side business, and your last videos were awesome. Thank you. About procrastination, helping myself. Yes, Uptown Window. Continue to make traction on your dreams. Small steps. And starting that business. I started 2 businesses. I had an electrical contracting business and I had a nonprofit organization. The most overwhelming part was getting all the paperwork in order and getting, building up a clientele, etc., etc. But you know what I did while I got everything how I wanted it? I did it. I just did work. As soon as I could do the work, I just did it. And I worried about having all my signs, having all my, at that time, business cards. I did all that as I went. If you have a dream of starting a business or doing something, I always say start now and refine as you go. People who get stuck, they wait for everything to be perfect. They wait till they have all their business cards. Now, I know business cards are obsolete, but I'm giving you an example. They wait for all their business cards to come in. They wait to have all their signs. They wait to have all their branding together before they start. And, it's like, I don't believe in that mindset. Now, again, everyone has their own way, but my overall mindset is start now and refine as you go. Deb, yeah, we'll check out the channel, Sailing. Yes, John, so you have another person checking it out. John, it gets better. Funny you said that. I've been a drummer since high school. Every Thursday night, us old guys jam old rock and roll past 5 years. Lifesaver. Yes, music heals the soul. Young, old, rock, rap, and anything in between. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter the genre of music. I am a firm believer that music is therapy to the soul. And you need that. You need to keep your soul healthy so that you can stay inspired. Because the only way you have the energy to live your dreams is if you're inspired. Losing your inspiration is a dangerous thing. I've been there. How did I lose my inspiration? Trying to save the world. How did I lose my inspiration? Trying to make someone else happy because they just got out of a bad relationship. So I tried to save them by being the nice guy. How did I lose my inspiration? Trying to, make my mom happy by, redoing her house. But she still had a dysfunctional, sibling in the house. And you'll never make that happy, no matter how many rooms you redo for them. You can't save the world. You can only save yourself. Now, certainly there'll be certain moments where you want to do charitable acts. I am not speaking against that. I am not sharing this message in a selfish context. I'm sharing this message in a self-care, responsible context, in a lead by example context. By you are your biggest light in this world when you take care of yourself. You give an example to others on how to live their best self. And that's wisdom, that's grace, that's love, that's beauty, that's inspiration. Uptown Window, laugh out loud, just do it. Yes, just do it is probably one of the best branding jobs ever done by advertisement agency. That slogan that Nike had of just do it, it's complete wisdom. And I totally agree with that. I constantly remind myself that. John can see that one of my videos, a sip it. Okay, good. I look forward to seeing that. I look forward to seeing the music and the inspirational things, the different gifts you have inside you, and that all of you, and all of us have inside of us. Sharing your gifts is a blessing. But if you're not in a good place, you're not going to share your gifts. If you're trying to save the world, you're going to end up getting hurt, and then you ain't going to want to share shit because you're going to need time to heal. And the longer you heal, the more you get hurt, the longer you're going to need to heal, and the longer you need to heal, the less you will share your gifts. Because when you need to heal, you need to be totally reclusive. When you're in your healing season, when you did the wrong thing for the wrong reason and you fucked up, you get really hurt. And I've been there in different ways, financially, emotionally, etc. And the only thing you can do is step back from life and heal. That's it. To some extent. And so when you're in your season of healing, you can't share. One of the times I really only shut down all my social media was when I got caught in an unhealthy relationship. And I felt such like a hypocrite. I just shut down everything. How the hell can I give positive inspiration? I just fucked up myself. And, there's a time again where you pick yourself back up and then you realize that even when you screw up, it increases your compassion and it increases your ability to speak to others. But you're also going to need a season of healing. And that means being a little bit reclusive. And when you're reclusive, when you have to step back, you can't share your gifts. And your gifts are meant to be shared. Your gifts are meant to be shared. Whether if you have musical gifts, whether you're good working with your hands, if you're a good marketer, if you're a good salesperson, if you're a good pastor, if you're a good whatever. Your gifts are meant to be shared. Period. Deb says, yeah, we all need to withdraw and recharge, sometimes to refocus. Amen, Deb. Well said. I want to read Deb's comment again. It's wisdom. She summed up what I just said. She put it in her own words, which was wisdom. Deb said, yep, we all need to withdraw and recharge, sometimes to refocus. Powerful. That's a powerful word, and it's well said. I totally agree with that. I want to end on that note, and I want to wish you all a positive and light-spirited night. I hope tonight brings laughter. I hope it brings creativity. I hope it brings affirmed, action-minded spirit in you that you're going to take those baby steps to move forward. And I hope it also brings you just a level of self-care, of love and compassion. Don't get seduced into trying to save the world. Save yourself. And that's how you make the world a better place. Okay, Dana says goodnight, and I say goodnight, and I thank you, Dana. I thank you, everyone, for joining. You inspire and you encourage me, and I sincerely appreciate it. Love and peace, and go in peace.